This video provides a quick breakdown of our state and local court system and then also our federal court system. And with everything in this course, at least that it's possible, we're going to use local or Pennsylvania as our examples here. And so when we look at the state and local court system, the trial court in Pennsylvania is called the Court of Common Pleas. And so the way I always teach this is that if you pick up a newspaper article, within the first sentence or two, you should be able to tell whether it was a trial versus an appeal. Because if you see the Court of Common Pleas, you know that it was a trial. But then Pennsylvania, in terms of appeals courts, has a relatively unique situation in that we have a second layer. A lot of states, you go straight from the trial court to the state Supreme Court. But in Pennsylvania, we actually have a second level or a first level of appeals courts, let's say. And even more unique, it's based upon what type of case it is, whether it's criminal or civil, as to which is the next step in the appeals court. If it is a criminal case, any appeal would go to what we call the Pennsylvania Superior Court of Appeals. Okay, so again, if you read a newspaper article and you read about the appeal was heard in the Superior Court of Appeals, you should know it's a criminal case as opposed to a civil. If it was civil, it would go to the Commonwealth Court of Appeals in Pennsylvania. And so, we have this extra layer of appeals courts in Pennsylvania, and it's based upon whether it's criminal or civil, and that determines the first stop any appeal would go to. But then, if there's an appeal, whether it's criminal or civil, the next step within the state of Pennsylvania would be the PA State Supreme Court. Okay, so that would be the final stop in Pennsylvania. And after that, if there's a decision in the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court that would be appealed, it would go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and that's the final stop, regardless of whether it's a state case or a federal case. If it is a federal case, our federal court system, and let's kind of focus on federal crimes for a minute. The types of federal crimes that fall under the federal court system would be any crime that takes place in multiple states or crosses over state lines. That becomes a federal case. Any crime involving the mail, because of the United States Postal Service, is a federal case. Any bank robbery case belongs to the federal court system because the money in every bank is insured by the FDIC. And there are other situations, obviously, too. But if it is a federal trial, it takes place in a U.S. District Court. The closest one to us is in Pittsburgh. And then if there is an appeal of a U.S. District Court decision, it goes to the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which the closest one to us is in Philadelphia. And then any decision of the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals that is being challenged would be challenged in the U.S. Supreme Court. And so basically, if we take away some of the information in your notes, we give you the name of a court, you can basically tell us, okay, is it a trial versus an appeal? Is it criminal versus civil? Is it state versus federal? Just based upon the court names. And so you need to familiarize yourself with this system in general so that you understand what type of case we are talking about.